My wife, Isabel, created a chart-topping podcast about surviving a relationship with a toxic, monstrous man. She became a hero to millions, a voice for the betrayed. The problem? The monster she describes is me. And every word she says is a lie. She twisted our life into a weapon to destroy my reputation while she secretly built a new life behind my back. But she made one mistake: she scheduled a live show. And I bought a front row ticket with all of her secrets in my hand. To understand the revenge she never saw coming, you have to hear my side of the story. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, go ahead and give it a like. It really helps me out. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos. Thanks a bunch. The first time I heard my wife's voice on the podcast, I thought it was a mistake. I was in the kitchen of our quiet house just outside Austin, Texas, making coffee. The morning light was soft, the air was still, and the biggest problem in my world was that we were out of oat milk. My friend Mark had sent me the link with a text. "Dude, you gotta hear this. This woman is fire. Sounds like something Isabel would love." The podcast was called Unspoken, and it was sitting at #1 on the charts. The cover art was a minimalist line drawing of a cracked teacup. Intrigued, I hit play. A woman's voice filled my kitchen, warm, articulate, and filled with a compelling, righteous sorrow. She was telling a story about her emotionally abusive ex, a man she called the architect because of how masterfully he designed her gilded cage. She described how he'd subtly discouraged her career, how he'd isolated her from friends, how he'd made her feel small so he could feel big. It was heartbreaking stuff. And then she described a specific fight. A fight about a broken promise, a missed anniversary dinner because he had to work on his music. My heart stopped. The coffee mug slipped from my hand and shattered on the tile floor. That was our fight. We'd had that exact fight 3 years ago. I was the one who worked on music. I was the musician. And Isabel, my wife of 8 years, the woman sleeping peacefully in our bed upstairs. She was the voice on the podcast. The #1 podcast in the country was a catalog of my supposed sins, broadcast to millions of strangers. And I had no idea. My name is Leo. And until that moment, I thought my life was a love story. I met Isabel in college. She was brilliant, fiercely ambitious, and had a smile that could disarm armies. I was a guitarist in a local band that was just starting to get some traction. We fell in love fast and hard. I was mesmerized by her. She told me I was the only person who truly understood her, that my soul was as deep as my music. I believed her. When you're in love, you believe everything. After we got married, she told me about her dream. She wanted to be a writer, a storyteller. She wanted to give a voice to women who felt unheard. My band was getting offers to tour, but it meant being on the road for months at a time. I looked at her, at the fierce hope in her eyes, and I made a choice. I chose her. I quit the band, hung up my guitar, and got a stable, boring job in project management. I told myself it was the noble thing to do. I would be the rock, the foundation, so she could build her empire. For years that's what I was, and she was grateful. Or so I thought. She'd kiss me and say, "I could never do this without you, Leo. You're my everything." She started a blog which grew, and then she launched the podcast. I helped her set up the equipment. I soundproofed a corner of our basement for her. I'd bring her tea while she was recording, and when she came out exhausted and emotionally drained from bearing her soul, I'd be there to hold her. I was her #1 fan, her perfect supportive husband. Now, standing in my kitchen with shattered ceramic at my feet, I realized I wasn't her husband. I was her source material. I stumbled upstairs, my mind a screaming chaos of confusion and betrayal. I had to be wrong. This had to be a misunderstanding. The woman I loved, the woman who fell asleep in my arms every night, couldn't do this. It was a violation so profound I couldn't even wrap my head around it. This wasn't just an affair. She was having an affair with the entire world, and the affair was about me. She was still asleep, looking angelic in the morning light. I nudged her awake. "Izzy," I said, my voice shaking. "We need to talk." She stretched, smiling her perfect smile. "Morning, honey. What's up?" I held out my phone. "I listened to your podcast." Her smile didn't falter, not for a second. That should have been my first clue. "Oh, what do you think?" "It's kind of taking off, isn't it? It's crazy. The story you tell, about the architect, about the anniversary." She sat up, her expression shifting from sunny to concerned, but it was a practiced concern. It was the face she put on for her listeners. "Oh, Leo. Honey, you know how writing works. It's composite characters. I take bits and pieces from all over, things I hear, stories from friends. You can't take it so literally. It's not about you." The gaslighting was so smooth, so immediate, it almost worked. My own mind was desperate to believe her. The cognitive dissonance was tearing me apart. The Isabel I loved versus the cold, calculating stranger on the podcast. Maybe I was being paranoid. Maybe I was being too sensitive. But it's our life, Izzy, I pleaded. That fight was our fight. It was a fight a million couples have had, she said, her voice soft and patronizing, like she was talking a child down from a tantrum. I'm a storyteller. That's what I do. I find the universal in the specific. You of all people should understand that. I'm sorry if it hit a nerve, but you can't police my art. This podcast is the most important thing I've ever done. I need you to support me in this. Can you do that? And like a fool, I found myself nodding. What else could I do? To deny her was to become the unsupportive monster she described on her show. It was a perfect trap. I was in a relationship with my own judge, jury, and executioner. And she had a microphone. Over the next few months, my life became a waking nightmare. The podcast exploded. She was featured in magazines. She got a book deal. She was hailed as a feminist icon, a warrior of truth. And I was her dark secret, the villain who inspired it all. Our friends started acting strangely around me. Dinners would fall silent when I walked into the room. Mark, the friend who sent me the link, stopped returning my calls. I was being slowly, methodically erased from my own life, replaced by the caricature she had created. I tried to talk to her again, but it was always the same. She'd tell me I was being insecure, that I was trying to sabotage her success because I was jealous. She'd cry and say I didn't love her anymore. And the toxic bond between us, the years of my life I had invested in her, would pull me back in. I would apologize. I would comfort her. It was insane. I was living in a psychological prison where the warden kept telling me how much she loved me. The breaking point came when I found the bank statements. It was by accident. I was looking for a warranty for the washing machine and opened a drawer where she kept her business files. I saw a statement from an account I didn't recognize. It was a business account, but the deposits were massive, far more than what her podcast ad revenue should have been. And the withdrawals, they were for a down payment on a condo, downtown, an address I'd never seen before. My hands were numb. I started digging. I went into her office, my heart pounding, feeling like a spy in my own home. I logged onto the family computer and found her emails. She'd been careless. There they were, messages with a realtor, with a divorce attorney, with a publicist. She wasn't just telling a story, she was executing a plan, a meticulously crafted exit strategy. The book deal, the fame. It was all building to a grand finale where she would dramatically leave her abusive husband, a triumphant victim stepping into the light. She wasn't just going to leave me. She was going to ruin me on her way out the door, ensuring no one would ever listen to my side of the story. I sat there, in the quiet of her office, the glow of the screen illuminating the full scale of her betrayal. The woman I loved didn't exist. She was a fiction, a character Isabel had played for me while she was busy building a different one for the world. The grief was overwhelming, but underneath it, something else was stirring. A cold, hard anger. She had used my love as a weapon against me. She had used my support as the fuel for her lies. She thought I was just a character in her story, a stepping stone on her path to glory. She was about to find out that even supporting characters get their own monologue. She had an upcoming live show in Austin, a sold-out victory lap. She thought I was too broken, too beaten down to do anything. She was wrong. The architect was about to design one last thing, her downfall. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, go ahead and give it a like. It really helps me out. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos. Thanks a bunch. For the next 3 weeks, I was the best husband in the world. I stopped questioning the podcast. I told her I was proud of her, that I finally understood her art. I rubbed her shoulders when she was stressed about the upcoming live show. I fed every bit of my pain and rage into a performance of the loving, supportive, slightly clueless husband she believed me to be. I was becoming her mirror, a perfect reflection of her own duplicity. Every compliment I gave her felt like sharpening a knife. Her narcissism was my greatest ally. She was so high on her own success, so convinced of my weakness, that she couldn't see the trap being laid right at her feet. My first call was to a lawyer. Not a divorce attorney, but a pit bull who specialized in defamation and financial fraud. I showed him everything: the podcast episodes, the bank statements, the emails about the condo, and the divorce lawyer. He looked at me, a grim smile on his face. "Mr. Miller," he said, "she hasn't just built a narrative. She's built a case against herself." He helped me meticulously document everything. We created a timeline that cross-referenced her podcast claims with reality. Episode 12. The architect emptied our joint savings to fund his artistic retreat, leaving me with nothing. Fact: here are the bank statements showing a $20,000 wire transfer from our joint account to her secret business account, labeled Book Advance Holding. Episode 15. He isolated me from my friends, forbidding me from going out. Fact: here are text messages from those same friends, with Isabel repeatedly canceling on them, saying, "Sorry, have to work on the podcast, it's my priority right now." We even found an old voice memo on my laptop from years ago, a message she'd left me. Her voice was bright and happy. "Leo, thank you again for quitting the band. I know it was hard, but it means the world to me. Now I can finally focus on my writing. I love you." It was the smoking gun. The plan was simple and brutal. I wasn't going to serve her with papers. I wasn't going to have a screaming match. I was going to let her climb to the very top of her mountain of lies, in front of 1,000 adoring fans, and I was going to publicly and calmly saw the mountain out from under her. I bought a VIP ticket to her live show at the Paramount Theater. The night of the show I felt a strange icy calm. I put on my best suit. Isabel kissed me goodbye at the door. "Wish me luck," she said, her eyes shining. "You won't need it," I replied. "You're a star." The theater was buzzing. It was filled with people who saw her as a prophet. They wore t-shirts with quotes from her show. They hung on her every word. I sat in the front row, watching her on stage, bathed in a single dramatic spotlight. She was magnificent. She was funny, charming, and self-deprecating. She told her stories, my stories, and the audience laughed and cried and nodded in solidarity. She was a maestro, and she was playing my life. The show ended with a Q&A session. This was my moment. I waited as a few people asked fawning questions. Then, I stepped up to the microphone in the aisle. Her eyes scanned the crowd, and then she saw me. A flicker of confusion crossed her face, quickly replaced by her warm, professional smile. Oh, look who it is, everyone," she said, her tone light and teasing. "My biggest fan. Don't worry, he's not the architect," she added with a wink to the crowd, which roared with laughter. "What's your question, honey?" I took a deep breath. "My name is Leo Miller," I said, my voice clear and steady, amplified throughout the massive theater. "And I am the architect." A wave of shocked murmurs rippled through the audience. Isabel's smile froze on her face. Her mask was cracking. "Leo, this isn't the time or the place," she said, her voice dropping, a clear warning in her tone. Security started moving towards me. "Actually, Isabel, this is the perfect time and place," I said, holding up my hand to the guards, who paused, unsure. "Because for months you've used this platform to tell your story. Now I'd like to use it to tell the truth, with receipts." I pulled a small stack of index cards from my jacket pocket. "In episode 15 you claimed I isolated you. I'm now sending a link to the Unspoken Podcast's official Twitter feed. On it you will find screenshots of over a dozen text messages where you canceled on your friends to work on this show. Please, everyone, feel free to check." People in the audience immediately pulled out their phones. A new wave of whispers began, more frantic this time. Isabel's face was ashen. "In episode 12, I continued, my voice never rising, you told a very moving story about me stealing your savings. Also on that Twitter feed is a PDF of a bank statement showing a $20.00 transfer from our savings to a private business account in your name only, which you then used to put a down payment on a condo that I was never told about." Her composure shattered. "Security, get him out of here," she shrieked into the mic, her voice shrill and ugly. "He's lying, he's trying to silence me." "Am I?" I asked calmly. I held up my phone and pressed play. The voice memo, her happy, grateful voice from years ago, echoed through the theater. "Leo, thank you again for quitting the band. It means the world to me." It was deafening. Every single person in that audience was staring at her, their adoring faces now a mixture of confusion, doubt, and dawning anger. They weren't looking at a victim anymore. They were looking at a fraud. I looked directly at her one last time. You built an empire on a story about my monstrosity, but the only monster here is the one who is willing to destroy a person's life for a book deal. The story's over, Isabel. I placed the microphone back in its stand, turned, and walked out of the theater. I didn't run. I didn't look back. I could hear the chaos erupting behind me, but it wasn't my chaos anymore. The fallout was immediate and catastrophic for her. The live tweets from the audience went viral. News outlets picked up the story. My lawyer filed the lawsuit the next morning. Her publisher dropped her. Her podcast was pulled. She was disgraced, exposed, and left with nothing but the truth, a thing she had never learned to live with. As for me, I didn't feel the elation I thought I would. I just felt quiet. The revenge wasn't a celebration. It was a restoration. It was me taking my name back, my life back. I moved into a small apartment downtown. I sold the house, and the first thing I did was buy a new guitar. I started writing music again, not for fame or for a career, but for me. I poured all the pain, the betrayal, and the eventual quiet peace into the notes. My life is smaller now, but it's real, it's honest. Sometimes, the most satisfying revenge isn't about burning someone else's world down. It's about having the strength to quietly, patiently, and bravely rebuild your own. And in the end, that's a story no one can ever take from you.